Whether an INFJ man leans more towards the sigma or alpha side of the male hierarchy, they have something about them that seems to intimidate other men in a different way than you'd imagine. They're rarely the life of the party, and they're certainly not normally considered the macho men of the group. So, why is it that they would be considered intimidating? Welcome, or welcome back, psychos! Before we get into it, we'd love it if you liked and subscribed to our channel, as well as to click the post notification bell so you never miss a video. Number 1. They easily connect with women. Although the dating game seems rather challenging for both the INFJ man and the INFJ woman, from the outside looking in, INFJ men get along with women on a level that other men can't. Sure, it doesn't always mean they're perceived as boyfriend material, but for the empathic INFJ man, understanding the emotions and feelings of women is considered an easy task. In fact, INFJ men are much more in tune with their femininity compared to the average man, which grants them the understanding behind a lot of women's thought processes. Because of this, they actually prefer talking to women compared to men, which gives them the advantage of being around more women. While the average INFJ man may be friend-zoned, from afar it looks like they're undoubtedly a ladies' man, which makes some men feel seriously intimidated, left wondering what their charm is all about. Number 2. They can be considered intense. The main reason men of other personality types find the INFJ man slightly intimidating is due to their inability to understand how the INFJ man can feel things so deeply, especially when it comes to the emotions of other people. Besides the fact that their empathic ability can easily freak people out, INFJ men carry a sense of intensity in their energy that can sometimes be sensed by others. This intense energy can be enough to make other men hesitate when it comes to approaching or getting to know the deeply introspective INFJ man. Although most INFJ men probably know this about themselves on some level, they aren't too apologetic about this intense energy because they have no interest in necessarily impressing others or fitting in. They either attract people who are willing to see through that intensity, or they happily move on. Number 3. They can be unpredictable. Known as one of the more extroverted of the introverted personality types, the INFJ man can mesh with any crowd due to their chameleon-like abilities. However, it's not always their social skills that intimidate the men around them. Instead, it's the unpredictability of knowing which INFJ you're going to get. Of course, this is only apparent when you've seen the INFJ multiple times and within different settings. But when another man notices it, it's hard to unnotice it. In fact, because INFJs can pick up on other people's energies, they're able to adjust their mood, tone of voice, and frame of mind in order to make the person whom they're talking to feel more comfortable. While this is generally quite an impressive trait, it tends to be more eye-catching when it comes from an INFJ man rather than a woman. Not only does it make other men feel like they can't relate to people, more specifically women, the same way an INFJ man does, but it makes them feel like they've been doing it all wrong all along. Unfortunately, extroverted thinking and feeling isn't something you can learn. Number 4. They're laid back, yet guarded. INFJ men have a particular energy about them. It's an energy that, at first, is quite difficult to put a finger on. Interestingly enough, it's an energy that's only confusing to others because of its contradictory nature. INFJ men are both inherently laid back and extremely guarded. They'll rope you into a conversation rooted in original ideas and concepts, ask you about your life, and then hold you at a distance for weeks, months, and even years to come. They can easily make acquaintances, but when it comes to letting other guys into their social circle, it's a bit of a different story. This can be rather intimidating to men who easily let other people in, or even men who have a large social circle because they end up questioning what about them the INFJ doesn't like. Of course, as we all know, it's not so much about the INFJ not liking something about a person, but rather the fact that they take a painstakingly long time to allow others to get to know them on a personal level. Confusing? Yes. Spiteful? No. Number 5. They carry themselves with incomparable originality. INFJs of all genders are known for their creativity and originality, but usually they aren't so keen on sharing their original ideas or shouting their latest, greatest plans from rooftops. However, when in conversation with the INFJ man, other men can't help but to pick up on their unique ways of thinking. In fact, this is what usually intrigues women when talking to the rare INFJ man, because this originality comes with depth and wisdom that they don't see in some other men. In fact, the level of independence and assertiveness that comes from this INFJ gift feels most threatening to the men who set out to take all the credit or are stubbornly closed off to outer opinions. Unfortunately, this is the case in some work settings where INFJs naturally are attuned to work smarter rather than harder, because it's never appreciated by the stubborn ones who are accustomed to always going by the rule book. In these instances, they'll see the INFJ man as rebellious, when really, he just sees a better way of doing things. Number 6. They can be too nice at times. Kindness is one of those things that everyone wants from others, but when it comes with no warning, we tend to become very suspicious. That concept is a prime example of why INFJ men intimidate other men. While some men are able to accept random acts of kindness without question or doubt, most men have an underlying sense of distrust within the world and the people in it. Most men, or really most people, believe that if someone is doing something nice for them, they either expect something in return or they're going to use that favor against them in the long run. So, when the INFJ man attempts to lend a hand or go out of their way for someone else, it's no surprise when people are left wondering, what's the catch? It's quite ironic, but kindness can be not only intimidating, but seen as seriously questionable for some people, especially in the empathic INFJ fashion of putting others before themselves. Number 8. They are very independent. Although INFJ men are keen on helping others, most of them know that, in reality, they are quite introverted and independent people in their private life. Sure, independence can be seen as a manly trait that most men are somewhat equipped with, but the INFJ's level of independence is something most men can't relate to. They're not only independent in the sense that they don't really need a large group of friends or social status to be content, but they hold a level of independence that affects all areas of life. All INFJs march to the beat of their own drum, relying on no one and often going against social norms. They question literally everything that comes into their understanding, even the things that most people would consider a waste of time to analyze. They require ample amounts of alone time in order to avoid burnout, and they keep people at a distance in order to maintain this level of solitude in their day-to-day lives. In fact, this independence is most intimidating to the extroverted men who actually feed off the energy of others to feel re-energized, because naturally, they will want to spend more time with the INFJ than the INFJ does. Number 8. They'll call out BS. While all INFJs have an underlying obligation to avoid conflict, the INFJ man is less likely to hold back compared to the INFJ women. This is especially true when they're faced with other men that are discussing or actively acting upon things that are against their deep-set morals. Lying, cheating, abusing, you name it. If the INFJ man is up against men that use others for their own gain, they won't hesitate to question their motives aloud. INFJ men have a keen sense of seeing right through BS of any sort, which can definitely have some people questioning how they know what they know. In fact, men can end up feeling intimidated when faced with this incredible ability to see through their dishonesty because they're able to notice things about people that others are completely oblivious to. This makes other men question whether or not the facade they think they're putting on is obvious to everyone else or just the INFJ themselves. Luckily, while it may look like the INFJ man can read minds, most of the time they're using body language, change in tone, eye movements, and energy to determine if someone is being distrustful. Well, psychos, That's it for today's video. So, as an INFJ, tell us of a time in the comments below where you seriously feared your angry side. Also, make sure to leave us a like, share with your friends, and also subscribe to our channel so that you never miss a video.